Well, welcome back to the Money Wisdom Podcast, powered by Johnson Brunetti. My name is Jake Dozer. I'm a certified financial planner on our Connecticut-based team here in our headquarters in Wethersfield is where you'll find me today, along with Nick Colantuno up in our Boston offices, also a certified financial planner, joining me as always. You find us in sort of a mini-series, if you will, on the podcast, where we're taking folks and viewers like you through the process that we use to evaluate one's portfolio and their circumstance. And we to give you a sense of when you come in to see us and visit with us, and when we're looking to assess how best we can help, what's that process look like? I know that sometimes it can be an intimidating process to come see an advisor. Nick mentioned something in our last episode about being vulnerable. There's an element of vulnerability, and we don't take it lightly that we get to hear the hopes and dreams and fears and aspirations of the folks we sit with. And so we want to demystify that for you. We want to be transparent and clear, and we like to move one step at a time. And that's why we're circling and setting up these episodes this way. So we covered in our last episode, meeting number one, our discovery meeting, what it looks like to meet Johnson Brunetti and one of our advisors the first time. Today's episode is all about our meeting number two. We call this our Money Map Retirement Review. And so what does that second meeting look like? After the first meeting, we've understood what somebody's looking to accomplish. We've tried to answer some upfront questions. We've given some off-the-cuff observations about the information they've brought in. And today's a time for us to reveal our homework. Nick, let's start with when we're talking about homework, between our meetings 1 and 2, where we're first meeting someone, to that second meeting where we're revealing our findings, giving advice going forward. What's the homework that we do between those two meetings?
Well, there's homework that we do as advisors. There might also be homework that you as listeners need to do for us.
Good
and
point.
Part of that means just making sure that we're on the same page. You know, I always ask folks in that first meeting, and if you heard the last episode, you're probably aware of this, but like, what are your expenses? And a lot of people say, well, it might be between $5,000 a month and $7,000 a month. Well, we need to know the number, right? So oftentimes after that initial conversation, we're shooting you an email, one, so you have our contact info, and if any questions come up, you know how to get a hold of us. But two, because there's going to be some things we need from you. Maybe you didn't bring in all your statements or a copy of your tax return or, you know, your Social Security income report, right? And maybe we need those things to do that analysis. Or maybe you didn't have a true, understanding of your expenses. Well, there's a window of opportunity there to make sure that the numbers we're using are accurate, because that's the only way you're going to get the most out of that conversation. But big picture, that second meeting, that's what you came to us for in the first place, right? Again, it's our opportunity to say, okay, myself, Jake, the rest of our 17 advisors here on the team, we sat down, we talked about your plan and your plan only in one of our advisor meetings, which we have a couple times every week, and that's really where the rubber hits the road. We're using our 18 collective heads just to make sure that what you're doing is truly the right thing for you, and that the path you're on is the right one you should be on, and that there's, if there are improvement opportunities, we're here to tell you about it. And that is what that second meeting is all about. So first things first, we're going to open the folder. You're going to be in our office. And again, you've been in the office before. So now we're kind of building that trust, building that comfort. We didn't have to send you directions the second time around. You know where you're going now. You know where to find us. We're opening the folder. We're going to read through a set of notes that we took just to make sure that we correctly interpreted what that first meeting entailed, what we talked about, make sure we didn't misunderstand anything or just make something up in the first place. And that's where we're then going to pull out your money map. And this money map is just a beautiful one-page document. It's simple. It's easy to understand. There's a lot of work and a lot of detail that goes into it. But for the sake of that conversation, we want to keep it high level. At the end of the day, it allows us to show you everything you have on one page, what's working, what needs to be improved upon, your different assets, the different taxable accounts or brokerage accounts or IRAs that you have, your income in different phases of life. And it's just our way of being able to show you, okay, this is what we see. And at that point, we can then make some recommendations. And maybe that recommendation is just keep doing what you're doing. But again, oftentimes there are improvements that we see, especially with everything going on in the world right now, and the fact that clients are coming to us at the precipice of some major life changes.
That's critical. And you hit just on something, Nick, that's so important is segueing from pre-retirement life into the retirement life is a transition of the way that you relate with your money. The money that you've saved right before you retire, that's the money that needs to last the rest of your life. And at that point, you're going from saving mode to using and spending mode. You're going from growth only mode to growth and income and preserving mode. And your relationship with your money is changing. And accordingly, our goal is to not critique you from the perspective of, did you not save enough? But it's more of a motivation of, hey, is your money prepared to work for you in the way that it needs to work now that you're in a new phase of life? And so in an effort to get that done, Nick alluded to some of the homework that we do before we sit down with folks. We spend hours as a team evaluating your circumstance, and no less than probably a dozen eyes have seen your circumstance within our office, of course, to put together homework to make sure that we can have math behind the simple one-page summary of what we present you. I've shared with people often, nobody reads 100-page reports except nerds like us. But one-page reports are easy. They're actionable. They're understandable. And sometimes there's a temptation to get paralysis by analysis. I got to figure everything out all at once. And as I've mentioned, I think 3 times already in this video series, one step at a time is the order in which people should pursue this. And so the first thing we do is risk analysis. How much risk are you taking? Are you taking too much? Are you taking not enough? Is it efficient? Meaning, are you getting enough bang for your buck? The second thing we do is income analysis. If you retire when you want to and spend money the way you're doing it, based on what you're currently doing, will it work? Compared to what we would recommend, will what we do work better? So risk analysis, income analysis. Sometimes we're doing a little bit more of a deeper dive if somebody's portfolio is complex, where we're evaluating stocks and funds at a deep level. And then finally, we're summarizing that on one page so that you can digest it. You can take action on it. And we're going through it from highest concern to lowest concern. Here's what's working. Here's what's not. Here's how we switch it from a place of where you're taking now to a place where you're in a healthier place to move forward and relate with your money differently on this new phase of life. At that meeting, a lot of times people are now armed with the information of, do these recommendations make sense? Number 2, they're armed with, are these folks the right people to help us with these recommendations and implementing these changes? There's a lot of weight to that. It's not only evaluating, do I switch from fund A to fund B, but rather, as I live in retirement, am I in a place that I feel comfortable guiding myself, stopping myself from experiences like the recording right now? Do I need to change strategies mid-stock market tumble because of everything that's going on and the volatility thereof? Am I in a place where I'm going to be objective enough to make recommendations and guide myself through these phases? Do I have the expertise and the time capacity? Do I want to spend my retirement years doing this, or do I want somebody to help us with this? And so that's really our goal, is to help people understand where you're at, where do you need to be, how can we best get you there, and so that you can lose the least amount, so you can still grow healthily, so that you can be efficient as far as taxes, not leaving Uncle Sam a tip, so that a legacy that you might have in the future is able to be left in the best way possible, and so on and so forth. Again, one step at a time, but hopefully today's episode, where we've talked about our second meeting of 4, about the retirement plan process. Where do we go from here? We'll talk about that in the next episode, where we talk about meeting number 3 on the Money Wisdom podcast, powered by Johnson Brunetti. We'll see you then.
Retirement isn't just about stopping work. It's about starting the life you want. Make sure you're ready with your free Are You Ready to Retire starter kit. Text the word KIT, K-I-T, to 800-757-0436. Text KIT to 800-757-0436 and take the first step toward a future you're excited about.
Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial LLC.